Well, welcome to another in our series on LED lighting for workshops, small businesses, and farms. Today we're going to talk about LED bulbs. So what are LED bulbs? Well, pretty well any bulb that has an incandescent or halogen counterpart, some of the older type of lighting, has an LED equivalent. So these come in the standard form where you can twist them in. They have LED lighting strips, as we talked about before. In this case, we're just going to talk about screw-in bulbs. There's the regular type. It's typically called an A lamp that has an E26 base. There's the candelabras that have the small base, or the B lamp bulb that you see. And there's the GU10 that has the 2-pin knobs, look like little Shrek ears. Those ones you see a lot in pot lights. And there's also a whole bunch of floodlights, MR lights, ones that go in soffits or outdoor. So let's take a look at some of these things. So how do you classify bulbs? Before you can go and get some, you need to know a bit about how they're classified to know what you're going to buy. Well, they're classified typically by base type. As we mentioned, that has the capital letter E as in Edison. So make sure the bulb that you have that you're replacing, you match that same screw-in type. The bulb type itself, which is the size of the bulb. So it's an eighths of an inch. So if you see a par light that says par 30, that's 30/8 of an inch. There's also A lamps, which are a typical standard incandescent bulb that we're familiar with. Other important quantity of the bulb is the lumens, which is the quantity of light that it produces. So the higher number that it says on the bulb or on the box means the more light. The wattage, of course, is how much power it uses when it's on. The efficiency or the efficacy, you'll hear that word as well, but efficiency is more common, is the lumens per watt. Color temperature is the color of the light. I'll talk about that in a second. And then you also see CRI, which describes how well it displays colors when the light is on, shining on other objects. So the higher number, closer to 100, means more realistic colors are shown. Lifespan is also important. And you need to know, is it used in application? Can it be used in applications? Is it dimmable? Is it Energy Star certified? So it's got some higher quality manufacturing in it, durability, and so on. Here's the color temperature. Color temperature ranges typically from down to around 1500 Kelvin, which is a temperature measurement, all the way up to 7500. So bulbs and LEDs can go that whole spectrum really, but in the stores you'll see ones that this usually start around 2000 Kelvin, which is more of a yellowish light, to cool white, which is very common, so 3100, 4000 Kelvin, you'll see that a lot. And then the daylight bulbs, which have a bit more blue in them, like 5000 or 6000 Kelvin. So should you look at LED or CFL? Well, it's a very good question, because really LED and CFL can do the same type of jobs. They're the same color temperatures, same CRI pretty well. But that's really where the similarities end. LED is certainly taking over from CFL. So if you compare the two just very basically here, they're both pretty efficient. LED is a bit better, more 90 lumens per watt as opposed to 75 typically for CFL. An important point is mercury. There's no mercury in an LED. LEDs work great in the cold. In fact, they work better in the cold than they do when they're very hot. You've got to make sure you don't get them too hot. Come on instantly. LEDs do. Dimmable, yes. LED, the bulb has to be marked as dimmable, but most of them are. But make sure you check that before you get one for a dimmable application, and make sure you get a dimmer switch that says it's used for LED. That's important too. If you have a very old dimmer, it may not work with an LED bulb. Damp areas, yes, for LED. LEDs, very strong. Some of them still are glass, but a lot of them are plastic and metal, designed if you drop them, hey, they'll still keep working. And the lifespan is pretty similar. LED beats by a little bit. So where should you not use LED? Well, as I mentioned, LEDs have to stay cool. They have to be able to get rid of some of the heat they produce. They don't get very hot, but certainly the hotter they get, the less efficient they are, and the less long they work. So don't put it inside of a fixture where the heat can't escape. So inside of a jar, up in a feed area, don't do that. Just let the LED bulb sit on its own. And also, don't put an LED, because they're more expensive, in a spot where you hardly use the light. Use the CFL. In a closet that doesn't get turned on very often, hey, keep a CFL in there. Okay, let's take a look at some LED lights in action. So here's the bathroom with 3 of the GU10 lights in it. So you see the 3 GU10
mini pots in the ceiling, and they work great on a dimmer switch. Lovely. So here are the ceiling cans, 5¼ inch cylinders, and put in the 13-watt LED. There on a dimmer switch. I dim down full bright and down to a nice glow. So the LED worked great.
So as you saw there, there's a couple LED upgrades that I like. I think they're very useful. In the bathroom, GU10, which is the bulb type that fits inside of that little pot there. The incandescent version, or the halogen version, is pretty much the same. 35 watts of energy used, down to a 7-watt LED. Just something to be careful about is make sure that the light spread that comes out of the LED is okay. A lot of them are, because it's a point source, they can come down pretty sharp, so you want to make sure that you get the spread on the bulb that lights up the areas you need to light up based on the height of the fixture. And also, the ones I put in were dimmable, but also you got to make sure that when it's dimmable, it's only dimmable down to a certain percentage. So you can get it down typically to about 10% of the output before it turns off. So if you need a fixture that can go right down to just almost off and it still throw a bit of light, you may be better off by keeping a halogen or an incandescent. So check that out. And the kitchen with the ceiling can upgrades, I took out the old PAR 30 50-watt bulbs, and within about a minute per fixture put in that LED built in. It screws right into the same connector that the PAR 30 connects into, and snaps in, and 13-watt dimmable, and works great. So, in summary, if you're in Ontario, make sure you check out the saveonenergy.ca website. There's rebate information there for businesses in the retrofit section. And there's also online coupons. Currently on that site, you can print off a $3 coupon that you can take to any participating store. Most hardware stores are participating. They give you $3 for a regular bulb, for an A lamp, and $5 for a specialty bulb like a GU10, so you can save almost half off the price of the bulb. A great deal. Choose LED for your next project, and thanks again for watching.